Hi, little Melon. It's Lizard here, and I know that you got married about a year and a half ago now, but I still haven't given you my maid of honor speech, so I thought I would do it right now. So buckle in, enjoy, and remember that this is given as if it was given at your wedding. So keep that time frame in mind. All right, I love you. Happy birthday. Here comes the speech. Good evening, everybody. I hope you're all having an amazing night so far. Before we go too far into speeches or any of those exciting things, I want to take a minute to just celebrate, recognize, and thank the two amazing families who have come together to throw an incredible party and also raise two awesome kids that we're here celebrating tonight. So if we could take a minute to give it up for the Scrivano family and the Rest family, let's do that now before we get started. Imagine everyone's clapping and hollering at this point. Woo! All right, so my name is Liz, and as previously mentioned, I get the awesome opportunity and honor to stand up next to these two today on their wedding day. I got to meet Mel about 3 years ago when we were interning for a missions organization in Milwaukee. We spent the summer together running mission trips for high school students. And from the first day I met Melody, I knew that our friendship was going to go one of two ways. The first way being that we would be best friends and I'd be standing up here today. The second way being that we would just have a really weird vibe between us for all of eternity. And the reason for that is because on the very first day that we met one another during training for our internship, we were assigned to stay in the same room. And odds had it that we actually slept in the same bed together. And if that wasn't weird enough to sleep with a total stranger on the first night that you met her, throughout the night, we just kept scooting closer and closer and closer together unconsciously. And so now that night is affectionately referred to as the night where our butts first touched. The good news is that actually was a great jumping off point for an awesome friendship. Obviously, I'm here today, so it went well. But I knew that our friendship was destined for big things starting at that point. So, as I was trying to prepare for this speech, I was thinking through my arsenal of the most embarrassing stories I had about Melody, as a good best friend would, and I thought of quite a few, but the problem with it is that all of the stories that I thought of had either equal to or more so embarrassing moments in it for me. So I'm not going to go that route because I'm not trying to embarrass myself, but I will tell a couple stories and we will go a different direction with it. So I'm going to start off actually by telling you guys a story of when I first met Dan. It was in December of 2013, and right when I met Melody, Dan had moved to, I think it was California at the time, for some training for the Air Force. And so I maybe had met him hardly one time before this, but I had heard Melody talk all about him. I'd seen her get all googly-eyed every time he called her. She always was just describing how amazing he was and how cute he was and how blue his eyes were and all that good stuff. So I was eager to meet Dan, and as the protective, skeptical best friend, I was especially eager to prepare my list of questions for the interrogation I had planned for him. So odds were in my favor this time, and what had happened was when Dan came in to visit, we ended up having to bring a friend, actually it was AJ, to the airport. So this was perfect for my agenda. We were stuck in the car with him for 4 hours. He couldn't escape. I could ask him anything I wanted to, and he couldn't leave. So this was an ideal situation for me. As you may imagine, the car ride went well. We're here today. They're married. I gave my stamp of approval. Everything went well. He passed with flying colors. But it was during that ride and then throughout the course of the rest of the relationship where I really noticed a couple key things that makes me excited and really solidifies that Dan is the one for my best friend Melody. So I'm going to share 3 of those reasons with you guys today. The first reason that I know Dan is right for Melody and that I'm excited about the relationship is the fact that Dan let us into the car with them even in the first place. Let me set the scene for you guys. Dan had not seen his girlfriend Melody for at least a couple months at that point. And so I'm certain that the calls leading up to this trip didn't include Dan asking Melody if he could please sit in the car with me, and we even had another girl with us, and be interrogated by us. I'm sure that wasn't his request, but Dan agreed wholeheartedly. He seemed excited, and he went through with it with a joyful heart. And I think that attitude points to an attitude that Mel and Dan embody as a couple. These people are so focused on the people around them. They're known for the way that they reach out and invest in the people around them. And that makes me excited for what the Lord's going to do in the relationship. They're amazing people. They love learning from people, and they love pouring out and serving the people around them. So that's point number 1. Point number 2 is something that I super love about the Resses, and it's their stark contrast in personalities. So my favorite thing about Melody is the way that anywhere she goes, in any room she walks into, any activity that we're doing, she brings life and energy and a party. We could be washing dishes, we could be working on construction, we could be sitting in the living room, we could be mowing the lawn. Seriously, it doesn't matter. Melody always brings the party. I always end up dancing and laughing and singing whenever she's in anywhere with me. And that's one of my favorite things about Melody. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, we have Dan, who is the most calm, solid, like unshakable presence ever. And this was made especially clear during that first initial car ride, when it was on hour 3.5 of the interrogation, and Dan just continued, not flustered even a bit, and just continued to answer questions and invest in talking with us, stayed cool and calm and collected, and I love the way that these two have those two extreme personalities. I love the way that together they create this perfect mix, and guys, I can't wait to see how you continue to just shape and refine one another with the strengths that you each have naturally, to continue to point each other to Christ. And that actually brings me to my third point, and this is the one I get really excited about because this is what really seals the deal for me. Since the beginning of this relationship, it has been formed and started with a commitment to keep Christ at the center. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys know the story of how Mel and Dan met, but if you don't, just a quick synopsis. They met while starting Campus Crusade for Christ at their college campus. And so this relationship truly has been founded and started with two people who are on mission for Christ. And since then, it has continued with that trajectory. I love hearing Mel share about the ways that they're learning about Jesus from one another, that they're challenging one another, and just growing in Christ together. So that's reason number 3. There's many other reasons why I feel so comfortable giving my best friend to Daniel, but those are the top 3. So if you guys could raise your glass to the new Mr. and Mrs. Ress. Guys, I hope you know that you're so loved. I hope you know that you have a support system in this room. Right now it's just me, but pretend like it's everyone who is at your wedding. You have a support system in this room who will be there for you in an instant if you ever need anything. And I just wish you every bit of happiness, and I'm praying for you guys, and I love you so much. So to the new Mr. and Mrs. Ress, woo! I love you guys. Happy year and a half.